This is the walkthrough video for PCTC 2022-23 Round 1 Senior, and we're going to be looking at question 10, a two-horse race today. So this question is actually pretty tough. We want to simulate this race and then print out the final snapshot of this race. Okay, so I think the easiest way to do this is just to store the position of both horses. So horse 1 is going to start off, well, they're both going to start off at 0. Horse 1 is 0, horse 2 is also 0. And actually, I think the question calls them horse 0 and horse 1. Yeah, this is referred to as horse 0 and this is referred to as horse 1. So position right at the start is obviously going to be 0. And now let's have an infinite loop. And we want to keep taking inputs. So what's going to call this variable? Let's call this a number. So num is going to be equal to the input that we're going to take. And if num is equal to 0, then we want to advance horse 0. If num is equal to 1, we want to advance horse 1. And a good trick to just speed up your coding is you can do this. And essentially, this will run if num is equal to 1, but not run if num is equal to 0. So we're treating the variable num as a Boolean, even though it's actually an integer. So this bit's going to run if num is equal to 1. And if num is equal to 1, we want to increase the position of horse 1 by 1. And if it isn't equal to 1, so if it's equal to 0, we want to increase the position of horse 0 by 1. Perfect. So we've taken the input, we've increased the position of the relevant horse. Now we want to check if the horse has reached the finish line. And to do that, its position should be equal to 0 plus 10 of these. That's position 10 right there. And so position 11 is going to be if it's finished. So let's say if horse 1 is equal to 11, or horse 2 is equal to 11, no, horse 0 is equal to 11, then we want to break. So if one of them has reached the finish line, then we want to break out of this infinite loop. And right, so now at this point, we've got our position, our final positions, and we want to print out this representation of the race. So how can we do this? So we need to print off. Okay, I think we're going to start with an empty string, build up the string, and then print off the string. Okay, so let's say let's say the top row of the thing we want to input, let's just gonna say, which can be that. Let's say that's going to be an empty string. And now we're going to build up that string slowly to represent the thing we want. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is add this pipe symbol to our empty string, but we only want to add it if, oh, actually I've got a smart way of doing this. Yeah, so ignore everything I just said. Let's say top is equal to that, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that. Okay, so that's what the row looks like. And now what we want to do is we can do top equals top, and actually let's turn that into a list. So this is, so now we've taken our top row and turned it into a list representation, and then you want to replace, let's not do that, let's delete that. So we want to replace the index of where horse 1 is with the horse. Yeah, so something like that should work, because horse 1 really just holds the position of the horse, which is also the index of the horse in this representation. And we can do the exact same thing for the bottom row. Let's just copy that. Bottom goes that. But this time we want to replace it with horse 2's position. Well, different order of there. So that's horse 0, and that's going to be horse 1. And at this point, we want to print off both rows, but we don't want to print off the list, which is what it currently is. We want to print off the string. And if you've watched my previous videos, you'll know that to do that, we can just do something like that for the top row, and the same idea for the bottom row. And what this is going to do is it's going to print off the string version of our list. It's going to smush together all of the characters in our list into one string. And hopefully if we run the code, it should get us all 5 points. But yeah, this is actually quite a long piece of code, and there are lots of different ways of doing this. But yeah, let's see if this works. Awesome. Yeah, I think this is just one of literally a billion ways to do this question. I think this is probably the way I'd go to, just because it's easier to keep track of the indices of the horse. And it also makes this last bit quite simple. But yeah, thank you for watching, and that concludes PCTC 2022-23, Round 1 Senior Mode.